Time is 9:40. I'm George Cummings. I have in studio guests today from Mathnasium. I have Angie Boggs. Hello.
Hi.
And I have Amy. Hello.
Hi.
A little closer, Amy. And I also have Diana. Hi, Diana.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm good.
Diana is a math whiz. Now, Angie, tell me a little bit about Mathnasium and its background and what it actually does for people who want to use your services.
Okay, well, we're basically a center where kids can come and really learn math. We focus on teaching them the concepts versus just memorization and algorithms. So we teach them exactly why things work and why they make sense.
Right. So, in other words, it's not just like rote and memorization. It is actually an approach that kind of is, I wouldn't say immersion, but something that kind of gives a different approach where they actually learn from the inside out, more or less.
Yes, and the curriculum is very sophisticated in that it's really simple. I mean, it's instruction by an instructor, and they use a paper and a pencil to show you exactly how the math concept works. They draw a lot of pictures for you, they ask a lot of questions, and it's basically what I think that math, people who are good at math have always done. It's just never been articulated or written down as a method of teaching, because the schools don't do it that way. They teach you how to add by, adding up your columns. But at Mathnasium, we'll teach you why you're doing that, and that's because you add the place values that are the same, and we dwell on those things so that the next concept is that much easier to learn.
So it's kind of not just a math tutoring, but an actual educational approach that sets children up all the way from like kindergarten or younger up through high school, correct?
Correct.
So at any level, if any child feels or any parent feels that their child could use that boost, or if their child is afraid of math or don't like numbers, because I think I'd read somewhere in doing the research that as you state, children aren't really, they don't hate math, they just don't understand it, is usually what the deal is. And once they gain that concept, then it's like, oh, where have you been all my life, right? Is that how that goes?
Right. They don't hate math, they're just intimidated sometimes because they don't understand certain things. But when you give them those tools to figure it out, all of a sudden they love it and they start having fun with it. And it's really great to see a student like that who just blossoms when you give them, a little bit of knowledge, and then they use it and actually solve problems with it.
And it opens up a whole lot of doors for them, and
does.
Probably especially in the self-confidence level, because sometimes that can really affect a child's ability in other learning aspects if they don't feel that they have that. I can't do math, forget it, I can't do anything else.
Exactly.
Now you have someone here with you, Amy. How old are you, Amy? I'm sorry, Diana.
Oh.
Yes, Amy, I figured that I don't have to ask you how old you are. Diana, I am so sorry. I'm looking at notes at the same time. How old are you, Diana?
I'm 8 years old.
8 years old. Mm-hmm. And you have gone through the Mathnasium process, right?
Yeah.
And we actually, I think we have some demonstrations to show just how effective Mathnasium is, right?
Right. So Diana's been doing the program for a little over a year. And last year when she was in second grade, her curriculum at school was basically adding 2-digit numbers and beginning to round. But our curriculum does it a little differently, where we teach the students their doubles addition first, complements of 10, and then we can extend that to double digits and triple digits.
In the second grade.
In the second grade, and we
level.
also teach them to count by any number, to any number, from any number.
So basically, you're advancing them a couple of grades ahead of where they're at, which well, great.
Because if you can count by those numbers, then multiplication is really easy.
So why don't you give us a demonstration?
Okay. How about counting by 15s?
15. Wait, okay. 15, 30, 45, 60, 75. That's all I'm going to do.
Okay. And she can also do, any number, like a 9, but can you start at, 7?
Okay. Let me think about that for a minute.
It's all good.
Don't be nervous.
It's not a test. It's okay.
16,
are you doing that? Like, what are you thinking about when you're adding a 9 to things?
Well, when I'm thinking about the nines, like, well, I'm just adding another 9, but like you just like I don't know how to explain that feeling.
Well, that's really good. So it's coming just straight from in you. It's almost like breathing or something like that, right? You're not when you have to stop and think about it. But you can do it because you showed you're doing your 15s all the way up through almost through 100. That's pretty good, especially at 8 years old. I am much older than that, and it took me a lot longer to figure that out. I'm still going. So I was thinking 75. Okay, what's next? So that's very good. So Amy, you're an instructor with Mathnasium.
Yes.
What challenges do you find maybe when students come in? That's probably the first thing you have to overcome as far as them. Some of them may not be there of their own accord, that they want to be forced there. So what kind of challenges do you find that you need to overcome as soon as possible?
Well, a lot of the kids sometimes have trouble asking questions. They're too scared to ask their teacher in that kind of classroom environment. So we really encourage questions, lots and lots of questions, making sure they're not scared to do that. But then it's also making sure that they're up to their grade. A lot of them come in and, they'll be in middle school, but they haven't conquered their elementary, just basic math facts. So it's our job to get them caught up to their grade because math just adds on.
Right.
So making sure that they gain their elementary basic facts because then they can exceed the grade that they're even in.
Well, that's terrific. And I know that you also not only do you do basic math, but also higher math skills, algebra, trigonometry, and things like that, correct? Now, I read something not too long ago that here in America, there is a lack of skilled manufacturing workers. Skilled manufacturing, in other words, these are workers who require a higher math skills or some sort of degree. And so when we're talking about setting people, it's not just getting the kids through and getting better grades and making them feel better about themselves, but when we're talking about higher math skills and things that can set them up career-wise for the rest of their lives, it's never really too soon to kind of get them down that path so that at least they have choices. So you offer actually from that level a really good service that we don't even think about from that always in that standpoint of moving ahead into career fields and stuff, right?
Right, and in our culture, it's becoming more and more dependent on technology. Everyone's got a phone, everybody uses a computer, internet, and so we need more and more people, at least in our country, to go into those fields and not be intimidated by those fields and not be blocked by not knowing math in order to get degrees in engineering, computer science, and all of the science-based fields.
Right, and that's true, and that's the thing too. When we talk about skilled manufacturing, we're talking about actually really good, solid, high-paying jobs. We're not talking about just going into a factory. We're talking about skills that are required, engineering and things like that. I want to thank you guys for coming in. And what is the best way that they can find out more information about your service and Mathnasium here in the Santa Clarita Valley?
The easiest way is to go to mathnasium.com/Valencia, or you can always call the center, 661-255-6284, 255-MATH, and talk to me directly, and we can set up an appointment. You come on in, check out the center, and do a free session if you'd like.
Great, and that information is also on our website, hometownstation.com, and if you have forgotten, you can always email me, george@hometownstation.com, and I'll gladly forward that information. Angie Boggs, Diana, and Amy, I really thank you very, very, very much for coming in. It's very, very insightful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, George.
Thank you.
All right, take care. The time is 9:49. We got a lot of stuff coming your way before the 10 o'clock hour. So